Hello, and welcome to the Technical Assistance and Information session regarding the Telehealth for Students and Youth Request for Information. My name is Amelia Moore. I am the Strategy and Engagement Manager with the City of Seattle's Department of Education and Early Learning, and I will be walking you through some information regarding the request for information. Before we get started, please do have the RFI document overview available in either print form or you can have it on the computer next to you, just so that you can reference that as we're walking through the different elements. And please put your name and organization into the chat so that we know who's in the room. Our plan for today, we're going to offer an overview of the RFI and also have some time for questions and answers. We're going to start by walking through the timeline as well as providing you with a little bit of background. We're going to talk about the culturally specific focus of the RFI and why that's important to us. We'll go over the criteria and objectives as well as the RFI response areas, and we'll talk through the how to apply through Submittable, as well as having some open Q&A. So the timeline for this RFI, you can see that here. The request for information opened on June 26th. Today is the information session, Wednesday, July 10th. The question and answer period goes through June 26th through July 22nd. And then 2 days later, on Wednesday, July 24th, is the application deadline. By 4 p.m., everything needs to be submitted via Submittable. We'll also go through the way that you can submit questions through the question and answer period through this presentation. The application closes at July 24th, and then we will begin the application review period, as well as development of a potential request for proposal. That period runs through July 25th, all the way through September 13th. We will be notifying you if you applied, and if we determine that you are a qualified applicant, we will be letting you know that by Friday, September 13th. We plan to have the request for proposal issued by Monday, September 16th, and those who were determined as eligible and qualified would be invited to begin their application at that time. In terms of some background, this is a request for proposal, this is a request for investment that we are planning to lead to a request for proposal. So we'll use the responses in this request for investment to inform our decision-making process regarding that future request for proposal. We are looking for providers who can provide telehealth services for our middle and high school youth, as well as Seattle youth up to age 24. We expect those services to launch within school year 24-25. If you're interested in more information about that planned future investment approach, there is a longer report that is linked in the slides, which will be available with this recording. And organizations who want to participate in that future request for proposal, they have to complete this RFI process as well. I'll also say, in terms of the request for proposal, as well as the timeline that I just shared on the previous slide, that is subject to change based on the results of the request for information, but that's the current plan that we're working within. Moving on to our culturally specific and responsive focus. You can see here that the evidence base has really shown that there are population-specific mental health challenges for our youth. Those can be based on a range of factors, including school level, socioeconomic and housing status, race, national origin, ethnicity, language, immigration status, LGBTQ plus youth. They experience additional barriers to accessing mental health services. And the evidence and research has also shown that there is a critical gap in providing culturally specific and responsive mental health services for our Black, Indigenous, and people of color youth, specifically that are healing centered and that are reflective of their identity and background. So this CSR focus is very important to us in terms of the providers who will be eligible. DEEL, as well as Seattle Public Schools, serves a very diverse population of students and youth. And we're really committed to providing equitable health services that respect, celebrate, honor the cultural identities of our community members and youth. So we're looking for telehealth services that are accessible, that are inclusive, and that can really be adaptable to the needs of all of our students, particularly those who may face barriers to accessing mental health services. Let me skip the slide there. Apologies. Now we're moving on to criteria and objectives. So DEEL's review of the RFI responses is going to focus on identifying potential vendors who meet the criteria and objectives that are outlined on the next few slides. DEEL will consider awarding funds to multiple vendors via the request for proposal process, dependent upon the results of our request for information analysis. Again, we're looking to serve youth in middle and high school and beyond up to 24 years old. And with that culturally specific responsive focus, we do recognize that some organizations may be targeted to different student identities. And so we want to leave room to be able to award to multiple organizations to provide these services. And again, as we go through the criteria and objectives, keep that in mind. If we find upon the analysis that all organizations aren't matching all of these criteria and objectives, we could consider braiding together different organizations and services. So we don't want to discourage anyone from applying. If you're not meeting every single one of these criteria and objectives, we still encourage you to submit the request for information because, again, we are considering awarding to multiple providers through the RFP process later in the year. So we'll walk through this criteria and objectives. We're really looking for high quality mental health and behavioral health services for our youth. It's very important that that's offered by therapists and counselors who are licensed to provide telehealth services in Washington State. Again, can't emphasize enough the importance of this culturally responsive care that's considering the diverse backgrounds of students, both who are attending Seattle Public Schools as well as youth and communities up to age 24. We're looking for providers who can have services in multiple languages and who can offer translation services. We want someone who can ensure confidentiality and privacy for all users and offer flexible scheduling to accommodate the varied needs of students and their families throughout the year. We also, since this is a youth-facing investment, we would like a technology and platform design that's accessible and user-friendly for youth. Providing an option of accepting insurance is something we're interested in taking a look at. While the city and DEEL will be subsidizing this care, we want it to be available to all middle and high school students as well as youth up to age 24. If there is an option to accept insurance for those who have it and are able to provide it, it will result in cost savings and allow us to offer services to more youth. We also want to see some documented results of reducing depression and anxiety for youth participating in your services. Demonstrate the capacity to be able to provide these services to an increased number of youth, knowing that we want this to reach many students, wanting to see that you would have the capacity to accommodate that. Again, reiterating that we may go with multiple providers to meet the demand, and who can see patients with a variety of mental health needs who do not have a rule out criteria of any kind. So that's the criteria and objectives. If you have the RFI overview document in front of you, it will walk you through some of the RFI application response areas. You can see that here. First is a company overview, service offerings, cultural responsiveness, technology and accessibility, privacy and confidentiality, implementation and support, and cost structure. On DEEL's website, we do have a linked document that has all of these RFI application response areas with corresponding prompts. That is a document that you can download and work collaboratively on with your team. And that has each of the question prompts underneath these response areas. And I will link to that in the chat. Although you are encouraged to use that Word document to be able to collaborate with others on your team on the application, we do need you to submit the actual application itself via an online portal called Submittable. There's 3 steps to be able to apply through Submittable. Linked here on the slides is a video that you can watch for a demo of the 3 steps. The first step is creating a Submittable account. If you're a new user to Submittable, you'll have to create that account, but it is quick and free. There is a link here where you can sign up. The second step is filling in the application form. You can save that along the way. However, it is difficult to collaborate within. So again, we encourage you to use that Word document that's linked on the website, and then you can copy and paste the information into the application form. And then third, you would submit your application. That closes on July 24th at 4 p.m. You should expect to receive an email confirmation at that point that the application was submitted successfully. So here's some frequently asked questions regarding Submittable. First, we'll cover questions that have to do with creating a Submittable account. For accessing the online form, first you have to sign up for the account, and we do recommend that an organization designates one person to sign up for Submittable, and that will also be the person who submits the online form. The reason that this is important is that the email linked to the Submittable account will be the primary contact that will also receive updates on the organization's submission. To sign up, again, you just click on the sign up link. You'll fill in an email, a password, a name. A verification email will be sent to you with confirmation, and a request that will be sent from notifications@email@submittable.com. Once you click on that link and you verify your email, you should have an account ready for you. If you do have questions about Submittable, there is a Submittable Resource Center. If you don't see your question answered there, you can contact Submittable at their customer support services. There's a link here in the slides. You can also email DEEL at deelfunding@seattle.gov with question telehealth services for students and youth RFI in the subject line, and we will do our best to guide you through that. Next for questions is how to fill in the online application form. You can save progress on the application form and complete the application later after you've begun work. You would just click the Save Draft button that is at the bottom of the application form. If you forget to submit the draft application form before the deadline, unfortunately, any saved but unsubmitted drafts will not be considered. And once that deadline passes, access to the draft will be lost and submittable. So please make sure to submit the draft before the deadline. And in terms of having different people in your organization collaborate on the application form, we encourage you to download the optional Word version of the application form that's posted on the DEEL website page and linked here. That Word version, however, want to reiterate, it will not be accepted as an official application, and that any draft responses that are copied and pasted in submittable online application form prior to the application deadline do need to be submitted via that submittable platform. We cannot take email submissions or Word document submissions in any form. Lastly, frequently asked questions around submitting the application. If you do not submit the application form before the deadline, unfortunately, the portal will automatically close and late applications will not be submitted or will not be accepted. To submit the application, simply click the Submit button at the bottom of the application before the cutoff time, which is Wednesday, July 24th by 4 p.m. After you submit, what you can expect next is a confirmation email from notifications@emailsubmittable.com. That will be sent to the email address that was provided during sign up, and that will be your proof of your submission. If you submit and you do not receive an email confirmation, please email us at deelfunding@seattle.gov as soon as possible with question telehealth services for students and youth RFI in the subject line, and let us know that you did not receive that confirmation email. You can save a copy of the submitted application. So you just log into your Submittable account and you can download a PDF copy for your records. For any future questions that are related to the telehealth services for students and youth RFI, you can submit questions directly to us at deelfunding@seattle.gov. Include question, telehealth services for students and youth RFI in the subject line. We will then publish responses to a table that is linked above. Within 3 business days, we will answer those submitted questions and it will be posted on the website. Thank you very much. And now we will get into the question and answer period.